Do you ever feel like you're juggling a million versions of yourself and still dropping the ball? Like you're switching hats all day, professional, partner, parent, friend, and no one really sees what it takes to just be you? Yeah, me too. Welcome to Hat Rack with Hannah. I'm Hannah, therapist, entrepreneur, author, podcast host, and also a mom, partner, daughter, friend, basically a professional hat wearer. I created this space where you don't have to minimize what you're carrying or rush past it. Because the truth is, you can have big dreams and feel overwhelmed by the roles it takes to hold them. Both get to exist. Here we slow it down, call it what it is, take some hats off, and figure out what actually belongs in your rack. So take a deep breath. You can set something down here, and let's get into it. Hi, welcome to Hat Rack with Hannah, and this is Sabrina. Sabrina is known as the Book Doula because she helps women birth their body of work. She is also an author, keynote, and TEDx speaker, book publisher, and founder of fEMPOWHER Global, a registered charity devoted to helping female youth reclaim their voices, stories, and influence. With a background in developmental psychology and nearly 2 decades as an international fashion model, Sabrina's work is rooted in lived experience, transmuting trauma, identity loss, body dysmorphia, shame, and silence into embodied authority. She is a mom to 3 sons and dozens of fur and feather babies, raising the next generation of good men on a 7-acre farmstead in a forest. Her work sits at the intersection of storytelling, psychology, and power, helping women share their voice and rewrite their futures. Welcome, Sabrina.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
and I just want
thank
to
you.
correct one thing. It's actually 70 acres, not
Oh,
7.
wow. Oh, gosh. I
Yeah,
said
we live
seven.
we
Yes.
live in like the boonies, like the literal it's crazy. Our driveway is like a mile long and you wouldn't know we were here. We don't have neighbors for miles. Like it's awesome.
That's
I love
amazing.
it.
What led you to choose that?
That's a really great question, actually, and probably a fun place to start because
Yeah.
as you read in my bio, was a fashion model for nearly 2 decades. And that was the jet set world traveler of a life. And that probably contributed to it a little bit. Like I lived in
Yeah.
Tokyo, I lived in Milan, I lived in London. I've lived all over the world in some of the world's most major cities, New York, LA, San Francisco. Like I've been everywhere and all over the place. So when I met my husband, I was like, "Do you want to be here?" In Toronto is where we were both residing at the time, and he's like,
Okay.
"Not really." Like, okay, well, why don't we get out? Get out of here. And it is a different lifestyle. It's not for everyone. I have friends who are like, all they see when they come here is work. They're like, how do you
Fair.
take care of 70 acres? Like, we need to have a
Yeah.
tractor. We need to have all these tools for land clearing. And it's a lot of work. And then all the
Yeah.
animals on top of it. And then the kids. And we have dirt bikes and ATVs. And those all need maintenance. And then we also have a cottage, which is on an island. So that's also work. There's boats and it's boat access only. So we've really chosen an interesting and different lifestyle. But I coined the hashtag paradise to paradise when we moved here because the cottage is a family heirloom. We've had it, it's generations old. Like it was my
Okay.
great great grandfather's and, handed down through the family. So that was always in the picture. And when we moved here, we wanted to be close to that because we knew that
Yeah.
was always going to be in the picture. So we found a place that we could grow into, I
Yeah.
suppose.
No, absolutely. It just sounds like such a fun lifestyle, though, and one that's very full.
Very full.
Not ever a bad thing. So you're constantly juggling hats. Like I know
Yes.
you for doing all of the things and like founder, mom, philanthropist. How do you navigate being this superhuman and managing it all at once?
Yeah. This is the question I get asked the most because people who know me professionally, my clients, they see me as a publisher, but I am an author first. I'm also a creative. I'm a writer. I have 3 kids and their ages are quite, there's a big gap. So my eldest just
Okay.
turned 20, and then I have an
Okay.
11-year-old and I have a 9-year-old. So those
Oh,
age
yeah.
groups have very different needs,
Oh
very
yeah.
different things going on in their lives,
Different
and it's
goals, aspirations. Oh
yes,
yeah, I'm
exactly.
sure.
People always say, "Oh, well, you're lucky you have the 20-year-old because you have a built-in babysitter." And I go, "Ha," because
That's
it
fun.
doesn't quite
Yeah.
work that way, especially
No.
with boys. Not to, be so gender specific, but it's true. He ain't no camp counselor.
Yeah.
So, it is a juggle, and then I have the animals. So I'm also a farmer because we
I
have
love
animals
that.
to take
Okay.
care of. There's, 30 plus beating hearts relying on me at all times.
How many
We
animals do
have
you
this
have?
like 30, between 34. We've got chickens,
Oh wow.
dogs, goats, like we've got a lot of things depending on us for life. And
Okay.
then I also really like to bake. I have a garden. I like to
Mm-hmm.
garden. So these are the things that bring me joy. But I have three businesses. We've got four properties, and it's a very, very full life. So people ask me
Yeah.
all the time, well, how do you do it all?
Right.
I don't. I have help. And I know that sounds very sort of bougie, but it's not really. What I do is the things that don't bring me joy, I find someone to help me do those. So at one
Okay.
point in my life, especially as an entrepreneur and a business owner, I did have to wear all the hats in my business. I
Mm-hmm.
had to learn accounting. I had to learn the back end systems and operation stuff. I had to learn the creative side of things. I had to learn the client operations and client management, and I had to learn it all.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I have to continue doing it all. It means I've now educated myself on how it works so that I can allocate and send it to people who that is their zone of genius, but not only their zone of genius, their zone of joy.
So it's
So
sharing
that
the
really,
joy.
exactly. So that's the secret sauce. And this goes to everything in my life. If I don't like doing laundry, I'm going to have someone do my laundry. If I don't like grocery shopping,
Yeah.
I can order groceries or not go
Right.
grocery shopping. Those are two things I actually enjoy doing, though. I like doing laundry. I find it very relaxing, and I can multitask, listen to an audiobook or do something while I'm folding laundry and doing the laundry. And I enjoy grocery shopping. It's sometimes the only time I actually get out of my house and go somewhere
There.
and see people in real life, not just on this little box of a screen,
Yeah.
right? So those are two things I don't outsource, but there are things I don't necessarily enjoy doing around the house. I have someone come clean the house, or have someone, hang out with the kids, or whatever it is that I need in that moment that isn't there bringing me joy. Now, that's not to say that I don't ever do things that don't bring me joy. I'm not just
No.
like always sitting around being like, oh, pamper me and I'm so perfect. But those are the things that I will allocate out first and foremost. And I will stay
Yeah.
in my zone of genius and my zone of joy and continue to learn and grow and find what I like and what I don't like about certain things. So I don't
Right.
like taxes. I have an accountant. I don't like doing the financials. I hire a CFO. I don't like cleaning my house. I hire a house cleaner. And it doesn't always have to be this elaborate, expensive, time-consuming thing.
Okay.
There's somebody for everything,
Yeah.
literally. So
No,
that's how I answer
absolutely.
that. I don't do everything. I also have a very present partner. I know there's single moms out there. There's people who don't have parents, or they don't have like somebody to help them. And, my heart goes out to you, but there are always people that you can bring on. And it's not even
Yeah.
like, well, I can't afford that, or that's extravagant and irresponsible as a single mom. It's like, bring someone in to help, that a friend or a
Right.
teenager that's looking for like part-time work for
Yeah.
chips. It's like there are barter systems, and there are ways to do it for not a fortune.
Yeah. Absolutely. When I love too that you point out that you're staying in your zone of genius, right? Because when we're really focusing on energy capacity and like where we can be our best and put our best, if we're not focused on what makes like what fuels us essentially, we're getting stuck in these spaces where it's like we're being bogged down by the things that don't bring us joy, but also the things that others can help us with. So I love that you take this approach and that you're
And
also
I
very
think with
transparent on how you don't wear it all.
exactly. And I think with moms and women especially, one thing we're not very good at, and I say we because I've been guilty of this in the past too, is asking for help when we need it.
Absolutely.
And that's in all
Absolutely.
areas of life. Asking, I mean, in your line of work, asking for help with your mental health when it's, physical health, asking somebody, instead of
Yeah.
we swallow it and we just say, like, we're people pleasers by nature. We're always swallowing it, going, I can, if you can do it yourself, you think you should. And that is not true. Just
Right.
because you can do something does not mean you should do something or all of the things.
Hmm.
That's how you conserve your energy. Energy is the most valuable resource. People often say
Absolutely.
it's time. It's actually not time, because you cannot spend your time wisely if you are depleted energetically.
Yep.
Energy is the most valuable resource.
I
You can,
completely
if you
agree.
have endless energy, if you are energized and you have your health and you have your vitality, time bends. Time,
Hmm.
like, you can make more time. You can, it's weird, it's crazy, but it happens. And the
Yeah.
same with money. It's like if you have energy, like, you can do things that generate income. You can make more money, you can make more time, but you cannot deplete that energy to a point where you're doing all the things. And I used to do this, like, visual for some of my clients around, it was like buckets. It's like if you
Yep.
imagine that you have 4 buckets and each one has like a little bit in it, how do you expect to do one thing well? So I always picture it like
Exactly.
you put the buckets on top of each other, you fill one bucket and then it overflows into the next bucket and overflows into the next bucket and overflows in the next bucket. But if they're all side by side and they all have a quarter of liquid in it, you're doing everything
Right.
at a quarter instead of doing one thing at
Exactly.
100% and then overflowing into those other areas of life. So if you're doing like something that is focused on financial, and then the financial overflows into the next area of your life, maybe your relationships, and then your relationships overflow into your career, and then your career overflows into your home, and it just becomes this beautiful. But the most important thing is that you're present in what you're
Right.
doing. That's
And that
why
your energy is
multitasking is
even.
dangerous. I remember so
Yeah.
clearly my son, who's 20 now, he was probably 7 or 8 at the time. And I remember him, that picture of the woman where she's like got 8 arms and she's like holding a computer and a coffee
Yes.
cup and like all the
And a
things.
baby.
And I
Yeah.
remember he said,
Oh.
"Mom, look, it's you." And that really like stabbed me in the heart a little bit. Like, he was being
Yep.
cute and funny because that's how he sees me, right? I'm always one hand on the computer and one hand like rocking the baby and one hand like cooking, and
Right.
literally it was like I
Always
had eight
moving.
arms. But when he said that, I was like, oh, ouch. Like, is that how he sees me, as somebody who's not present and constantly multitasking? And
Right.
it really woke me up. I took off my hats at that point and said, you know what? When I'm with him, I'm going to be with him. And when I'm doing something else, he'll know. I'll
Yep.
enroll him in the conversation. I'll say, Mommy's got to work now, so I'm going to go to my computer, and that's what I'm doing for the next
Right.
hour. So you can do this. Because your kids won't remember the times you were absent if you enroll them in times where they're also present, where you're with them
Right.
fully. What they'll
Absolutely.
remember is if you're never present with them and you're always distracted and you're always on
Hmm.
your phone or staring at a screen or doing something else, or like if you're always busy, they will see that in you. But if you
Right.
can compartmentalize your time into segments, and we can talk about that in a minute too, that's like some of my time
Yeah.
management skills, but if we can break it into things and enroll our families in these ideas, it's just so much better.
Well, and it's invaluable. Like it needs to happen. And something you said really triggered my brain. Like I work on this with clients, but also see this in so many humans, like every day of the week, is just we've switched from this I have to serve myself to serve others into that's selfish. You can't do that. That's not okay. But if you are serving from an empty cup, you actually can't serve anybody. And
Yeah.
somewhere along the line, generationally, it was like, no, you just need to suck it up. You don't fill your cup. You just keep depleting, depleting. And I think that's how we have this culture right now of burnout and this culture of like swallowing the thing and not asking for support. And it's creating female burnout and
Yeah.
burnout in general. And it's just not fair. And we don't need to do it. And we're seeing when people are filling their cups or being selfish and setting boundaries that we are being more successful and things are feeling better.
Yeah.
So we just really got to lean into that. Well, and how do you navigate the time? You were saying something about time management and kind of your buckets, and you gave us the waterfall visual, but what were you meaning by kind of those strategies that you wanted to share?
Yeah. So when I got into business, about a decade ago when I really truly started my own business and I was an entrepreneur. I've
Yeah.
had many businesses and I've sort of had like side hustles and little things, but when I was like fully immersed in my business and not working for anything else, like this was it. This was the only option. I'm all in.
Yep. Hmm.
I found myself feeling overwhelmed because at that point I was a team of one and I was doing all of the things. That's before I was able to hire an accountant and,
Absolutely.
hire a house cleaner and hire a babysitter and hire, like, it was just me doing all the things, like literally wearing all the hats,
Yeah.
all of them, all at once. So I had to sort of get savvy about how I managed that. So I started this system that I called days in, days on, and days off.
Yep.
Because what I found, and I take a lot of time to contemplate and reflect and see what works and what doesn't work. Like I spend a lot of time with myself. I meditate. I do all of the mindset work for my own mental health, but also it helps to see where the blind spots are and where the holes are when you zoom out and reflect on your life. What's working, what's not
Yeah.
working? When do I feel stressed? When do I feel overwhelmed? What's happening in those moments when I'm doing that? So I kind of zoom out and take like inventory of what's going on. And I found the times when I felt the most overwhelmed is when I was switching gears. And what I mean by
Completely.
that is like, I'd have a client call and that's very energetically draining because I devote myself to my clients. I'm
Right.
in their stuff. As a service provider, you take energy from other people. It's
Yeah.
inevitable. If you actually care about what you're doing, it happens. So I wasn't giving myself time in between to decompress. And I was like taking all that energy on. And then I was doing like some other type of work, like another kind of call. And then I was trying to create content. And then I was trying to do like marketing stuff. And then I was also doing this. And then I was a new mom at the time. So I had little kids at
Okay.
home. So I was like
Yep.
also making snacks. Anyone can relate to that. I used to
Yep.
call it like hashtag snack beep. That was my
Which is
whole
very true and
identity at the
real.
time.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So
You
it
better
was
get
like,
that snack going.
I really did feel like the lady with the 8 arms. And for me, it was the switching from one arm to the next arm to the next arm to the next arm in like the span of 2 hours. I was like,
Right.
this isn't sustainable. Like, I can't energetically do this anymore. So I started doing days in, days on, and days off. Days in my business were when I was doing client calls. So even if I did client calls back to back to back to back, it was the same flow of energy. It's not like,
Okay.
when you slam on, it's like driving a manual transmission car. It's like that jaggedy feeling of like switching gears
Right.
where you're like,
Yeah. And it's not doing it.
start, stop.
Yeah.
It's jarring. But
Right.
if you're just sort of smooth cruising along, it's like I can be in the zone with my clients. Of course, I need to take like pee breaks and water breaks and stuff, and I make sure I do that. But it's like if I'm just in the zone talking and like doing what I do, like my zone of genius, I
Right.
can do 8 client calls in a day and be totally content and even fulfilled with that. But then days on, that's when I'm like, no client calls. I work on content. I work on the business, marketing and advertising.
Right.
Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And then days off, I do nothing for the business. That's when I'm like with my family. Maybe we plan a day trip. We do something else. If it's like, if the kids are at a sleepover at a birthday party or whatever it is, then that's the day that I clean the house and do the laundry and do food prep for the week and that kind of stuff. So that really helped me when I
Yeah.
started doing that. People call it different things. I've heard it called like boss day, CEO day, goddess day, me day. Like you can call it whatever you want, whatever
Yeah.
resonates with you, but it's really just days in your business, days on your business, days off your business. And if you don't have a business, maybe you work a full-time job, try to put like tasks with each other. Even if it's like, okay, in the
Yep.
mornings I'm going to do calls, in the afternoons I'm going to do this task. And then, try if you're able to like take days off fully, even if it's only on the
Hmm.
weekends. You work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, take the weekends off truly. Stay
Yeah.
out of like don't bring work home with you. Don't try to separate those tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I remember when you introduced that concept to me, and I've been in business 8 years, and the one thing I've been missing is that time on the business because I'm always in the business, right? And I
Yes.
am my business. And when you introduced that concept to me, I was like, I need some admin hours in my day. Wow. And the difference it makes to have an admin hour to check my email instead of forcing it between other things where the flow isn't matching is phenomenally different. And I'm just so like grateful for that skill. But it's really important and anyone can really initiate those skills. So I love that. It's a great practical tool.
And it's
So
even
you,
good with your kids. Like if you're say you're a stay-at-home mom, it's like, okay, like right now, it doesn't have to always be days either. It could be like for the next hour, you can have screen time. And then we're going to do this like
mhm,
educational task. And then we're going to go together and prepare food. And then so it's like separating things by task, the bucket
yeah,
theory, right? You're not like doing four things at once, multitasking. You're doing one thing to completion and then you're starting the next thing. So it's a
yep,
great skill to teach kids too, because if you're always multitasking, if you're like checking your email while you're talking on the phone, while you're cooking dinner, while you're like watching TV, it's highly distracting. And this is what we're
absolutely.
seeing in society now is these like overstimulated, over distracted humans because there's too
Right.
much. It's like so overstimulating and there's opportunities to be overstimulated everywhere. And it's
Yeah.
like destroying our peace.
Yeah, it really is. And I think too, when we're teaching our kids that we can do one thing at once and do it well, they are going
Yeah.
to be more successful doing that instead of feeling the pressure to kind of align with societal, like you have to multitask, get everything done at once. And also this like pressure culture,
Yes.
right? To do that. And so taking them away from that is also really helpful
Yeah.
guidance. Absolutely.
Yeah. I
Well,
think
and
I read somewhere that the first sign of screen addiction is multitasking. Watching
I would believe
TV while
that.
also looking at an iPad and like scrolling TikTok on your phone and somebody's doing something else on an iPad and the TV's on with YouTube and it's just like
Yeah.
like overstimulation. That's the first sign of screen addiction or cell phone addiction is if you're multitasking.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just something that our culture has completely shifted into and been into. Like, I remember, oh, we're going to put a movie on so I can go do something. Right. And that was kind of the generation I grew up with. And it wasn't a bad thing necessarily, but now it's, we're going to put a movie on, we're going to do an activity while mom's working and on her phone. And, it's so many things. And scaling back needs to happen. And I'm guilty of it too. I do it all the time, but it doesn't feel good. And then it never feels like you're taking a minute to breathe, let alone
Yeah.
be
And I
present with
think
your humans.
exactly. And I think it's important, like, this is something else I started implementing too, is like, I actually plan my social media time. So I don't just
Oh,
check in every 5 seconds and scroll and doom scroll and get caught up in the scroll and whatever. I go in, I'm like, okay, I've got 20 minutes on the calendar for social media right now because I need it for my business. It's a
yeah,
tool.
absolutely.
And sometimes like a cat meme will pop up that's hilarious or something that I want to send to somebody and it's funny and it's cute.
Yeah,
But I actually plan like 10 or 15-minute segments throughout the day to go in with an intention. It's like I'm going in to post and then I need to engage in the first 10 minutes while it's there. And while I'm engaging and doing that, I will also maybe scroll a little bit.
yeah,
But when my timer goes off at 15 minutes, I'm done. And then I go
yep.
back to the other tasks. Like I literally put it in my calendar
I
because
love
with a
that.
timer. Because if I don't, like we're all guilty of it. Like
Oh,
we'll just
absolutely. Yeah,
scroll forever. Why wouldn't you? You get stuck in it. It is addictive. The dopamine hits that you
it's meant
get
to
from
be.
certain things and it like exactly. But that's how people get trapped is how many people do you know who they're like, "Oh, I'm just going to go check on this post that I posted." And then 2 hours later, they're like, "Oh my gosh, what just happened? How
Right,
is it 2 hours later?" And then you're like, "Oh, I don't have time to work on my business. I don't have time to make money." It's like you just scrolled for 2 hours watching cat videos. You have time. I
right.
promise you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's interesting too. So with teens I work with, I've had them record their screen time before, right? And when they
Mm,
realize how much time is actually wasted on it versus like, oh, well, I thought it was just this amount of time. And then it's like way more. They're like, wow. I'm like, so what else could you be doing with that time? Like, you're telling me you're stressed out about this. There's your time back.
yeah.
But it's just so easily accessible that it's something we tap into, but it does not mean it serves us at all.
No.
No. I want to shift gears a little bit. Earlier, you alluded to taking some hats off permanently and kind of navigating that. tell me more about that and kind of like why did we do that and how did you decide to even do that?
So I believe that our life happens in seasons, right?
Yeah.
Like it comes and it goes and it flows in, and like maybe what your preferences last season are not the same as this season, the same way we change clothes and the same way we change vehicles, and it's like some things are seasonal. And I believe that with our identities too, in a way.
Okay.
I believe, there's certain pieces of our identity that are just what we are, that it's true, right? It's like, I am a sister, I am a daughter. Those aren't going to change. I'm a mother. That's not going to change. But there's other ones that kind of like flow in. It's like, ooh, maybe I can just like try this hat on and see how it
Yeah.
fits. And sometimes it's okay to let other ones go. And I do think that we get stuck in this identity trap sometimes, that like that's how everyone knows me and that's how everyone,
Mm.
recognizes me. So like I have to just keep that hat on forevermore. And that's not true. You can take it off and you can put it back on at any time. So it's
Yeah.
like, this is an NLP technique, but it's also like a subconscious thing. It's like our brain, and you know this as a therapist, but
Yeah.
like our
Absolutely.
brain can't tell the difference. Our subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between like a bear attack and a change.
Hmm.
They feel the same in the body, somatically, they feel the same. Your palms sweat, you get nervous. It's like, ooh, what am I doing? Like even if it's something as simple as like showing up on social media, like launching a program, launching a business, doing something new, writing a book,
Yeah.
starting a podcast, right? Like these are big shifts in identity. These are big changes, but our physical body, our subconscious mind can't tell the difference. It feels like you're getting attacked by a bear. So we want to shrink and go into safe mode to protect ourselves. Our
Yep.
ego wants to protect ourselves. So we do that. And it's sort of understanding that is the truth of it. So when you ask yourself, I always do this thing called mental triage, where it's like, is this an emergency? If you're feeling like,
Hmm.
say, being brave and launching your podcast, or being brave and going live on Instagram, or I'm just saying
Yeah.
little things. These are
But
technically
that can
little
feel
things.
big for
They can
sure.
feel really big and scary though. So it's like, instead of just hitting post and saying whatever, I'll deal with the stuff later, we say, oh no, that's too scary, or that's dangerous or bad in some way. It's a bear attack. I'm getting attacked by a bear. My face is getting
Hmm.
eaten by a bear. It's like
We're
scary.
done. We need
So
to run. Right.
instead, I do this triage thing. I ask myself, is this an emergency, like life or death? No, usually no. And if it is,
Mhm.
then get proper support. That's when you go see your therapist, or you go to the emergency
Yeah.
room, or you do whatever. Like if you're actually in danger, don't just push through the danger, go
Right.
get help. But mostly, like 99.9% of the time, the answer to that question is no.
Hmm.
This is not life or death. So the second question in the emotional triage is, do I need support with this, or is this something I can handle myself? So like if you think of going to the hospital, like say you get a paper cut. It's like, is this life or death? No. Can I fix this myself, or do I need intervention? It's like, depending on where it is, you might need someone to help you put a band-aid on your finger, but probably you're okay and you can deal with it yourself,
Yeah.
right? And then the third thing is like, so you check in, is this life or death? You see if you need intervention or if you need support, and then you
Hmm.
just do the thing. You take care of it. And then you let it move through. It's like the paper cut will heal in a couple of days. And then you've built that muscle up, right? You've built
Yep.
that ability to handle that amount of pressure. You've built that ability to be able to do the thing. And then practice
Hmm.
makes, I don't like to say perfect because nothing's ever perfect, but
No.
practice makes progress. Once you
Right.
start doing it more, that becomes a habit. And then that becomes a hat that you wear. And then the
Hmm.
one that was from last season, you can permanently remove. So I think it's just important to remember that taking off hats that no longer serve you is important. If it's not serving you, if
Yeah.
it's not serving your greater good, then what's the point?
Yeah.
And we do so many things in life that we just don't like. And we feel
Or feel
stuck.
we
Like,
should do when it's like, but why? Most of the time when
yeah,
people are shoulding, it's a
yeah,
narrative of somebody else's that's being put on them that's not even theirs to hold. And it's like, no,
exactly.
give it back.
Yeah,
Evaluate if
take it
it's
off.
yours or theirs. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and even further, even deeper than yours or theirs, it's like sometimes it's subconscious programming that we've picked up that we're not even conscious of. We don't
Absolutely.
even know it. So it's, is it yours or your ego's? Right? It's
Yeah.
like sometimes it is ours, but not from a place of joy and self-compassion. It's something that we've collected over time from all of these sources, and we've made it ours in
Right.
our ego. And our ego's job is there to keep us safe, right? It's there to keep
Yeah.
us like away from danger, away from the
Away
bear
from the
attack.
bear.
Yeah, that's literally its sole purpose, the ego. So I often also like, I'll ask myself, I'm like, is this my ego? Oh, it is. Okay,
Mhm.
ego, I see you, I feel you. Thank you for trying to keep me safe, but I'm gonna move along now and take off this hat
Yeah.
or
Well,
face the bear.
I love how you're bringing so much awareness though, and like adding the filters and the questions in order to better understand like your presence and capacity,
Yeah,
especially when taking hats off. It's a non-negotiable, right? But like even just in the smaller things, like this isn't an emergency. This is you growing and that's okay, but it can feel like that. But it can
yeah,
feel like that and you still being safe.
absolutely.
Yeah. So as a successful entrepreneur and mom of three, you've given us a lot of advice and a lot of tools. But what's your biggest piece of advice for overwhelm? The person
Mm.
who's wearing every hat and they are going to hopefully now put one down, right? And work through their buckets, how we've talked about. But when we are just like at capacity,
Yeah, I think a lot of what I've already spoken about is what
yeah,
I've done at least over the years to do that. But there's another thing that I've sort of just from reflecting and looking on it, and that's like saying I get to versus I have to, and then feeling
yeah,
into whether or not that's true. It's like if I say I get to do this laundry, it's like I have a working washing machine. I live with people that I love, and even though it's like piled up, so it takes away that feeling of like I have to do it. It's piling up and it's out of control. I have a lot of laundry. If you're wondering why I keep talking about laundry, it's like I just got back from a trip, so it's
totally
everywhere.
understand. Yep.
And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm practicing what I preach here. It's like these are the tools that I use. So if something feels overwhelming
Right.
to me, I say I get to do this, and then I really check in with the gratitude of that. It's like there's people in this world that don't have running water, let
Right.
alone a giant washing machine and a loving family that they're I have three boys, so they're muddy and dirty all the time, and they change their clothes like four times a day, which makes a ton of laundry. Or
I know.
they'll forget. I have animals; they jump on furniture. I have to wash all the stuff, but like I get to do that. This is the life I chose. This is the family that I chose. Like I get to do that, and it reprograms and repositions the thought patterns from
Yeah.
like this is something I have to do, that I don't like this, I don't enjoy this, I don't want to do this, to the gratitude piece. And it like melts away the feeling of overwhelm, the stress of it, the like and then also
Hmm.
doing the triage thing. It's like, is this life
Yeah.
or death? Is anybody going to die if I don't do a load of laundry right this second? No. So let it go. It's okay if it's piling up a little bit in the corner. It's okay. Everyone will be okay. And then
Yeah.
the last piece to this sort of like reprogramming is saying I won't versus I can't. Because I
Tell me more.
can't is such a negative statement. And it alludes
Yeah.
to being like disabled in some way, right? It's like you if you can't do something, why? So
Right.
I always say, like, say somebody invites me to a party and I don't want to go. And I say to them, I can't, I'm busy, right? It's like instead I say, no. And they're like, well, why? Because I don't want to. That's a boundary, right? I won't
Yeah.
versus I can't. But when you constantly say you can't do something, you're actually programming your mind, your subconscious mind, to believe that. And it's the same with like, I can't start a business. I have too much other stuff going on. I have a full plate. No, you won't start a business. And if that hurts to say that, like, but I do want to start a business. I do. No, you don't. Not right now. Because,
Hmm.
and then you find excuses. I can't. I don't have enough time. I don't have money. I don't have the skills. I need to get a PhD first. I need to do this, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
blah, blah. I hear the excuses all the time. But just simply saying, I won't, and then checking in with yourself, if that I won't feels good, then it's a boundary.
Hmm.
If it feels bad, you're making excuses for yourself. You're justifying not doing the action that's required to do the thing that you actually want to do that will bring you joy and fulfillment
Right.
in life.
Well, I love
That,
that because we also have so many listeners who boundaries struggle with boundaries, right? And boundaries are hard to set, but checking in and kind of understanding where the boundary is coming from versus the I can't and listening to the I won't and seeing how
yeah,
that hits, I think can also help those to set stronger boundaries, knowing where they're aligned with it or not. That's a great
yeah.
pivot.
I do this with my kids all the time because it's like, it's starting the programming because we've been programmed, and I say we,
Oh,
like generalizing obviously, but like our generation has
yeah.
been programmed with these limitations. And I don't believe we have limitations. We don't use the word but, we say and
Yep.
instead.
We
And
do
we
that in
don't
our
use
household.
I
Oh, yeah.
can't. We say I won't. Because I'm not saying say yes to everything. It's not about
No.
being like, yes, yes. It's say
No.
no is a complete sentence,
Mhm.
but I can't is a swear word.
Okay.
So that's how we speak to each other because I think it's important. If I'm like, if somebody they say I'm hungry and I'm like, oh, I can't make you food right now. It's like, that's horrible. Of
Right.
course I can. I just won't right now because I want to complete this task first and then I will. So it's okay to,
Right.
ask them to be patient. It teaches them other skills. But just saying, no, sorry, I can't. Yes, I can. But I
Yeah.
won't right now. And
When
then
it
see how
hits so
that feels.
different. Right.
So different.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it could be that sounds like a game changer
Yeah.
for how people can communicate their boundaries in an effective way. As a
Yeah.
therapist, I love that, of course.
Perfect.
We preach
It's
boundaries
yours.
all day long around here, you know?
Well, and I
And
think it's
holding
so
them can be
important,
hard.
to not gatekeep this information. It's like I want
Right.
so many people to be able to implement this because it changed my life.
Yeah.
So why would I just hold on to it and keep it to myself? It's insanity. It's like I want to help people. I want to give these tools and things to people. And here's the last piece to that. It's like you don't have to do everything like everything we've talked about today. It's like don't just try to do all of it all at once. It's like pick one and put that hat on and see how it
Hmm.
fits and play with it and make it your own and do it in a way that works for you. It's like people are always looking for a secret sauce or a secret pill or a strategy or whatever. And
Right.
it's like, it has to work for you.
Hmm.
That's the whole
Yep.
thing. People compare themselves up to somebody's highlight reel on the internet or to some millionaire who's like doing things a certain way. And the real truth is success comes from implementing these little pieces, like
Yep.
finding your own pieces and putting your puzzle together,
Yeah.
your divine puzzle, right? It's like take a piece of what I said, take a piece of what Hannah said, take a piece of something you learned somewhere else, like plug in to places that stretch you, to places that make
Hmm.
you feel like you're growing.
Right.
I always say I try to be like the dumbest person in the room. Like I put myself into rooms with millionaires. I put myself into rooms with people who are doing massive things on the planet. That's how I got into philanthropy. I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that, right? And I take
Yeah.
the pieces to that inspire me and that I love that bring me joy and I adapt them to my own lifestyle and my own like style, right? It's
Hmm.
like so I might not want a Hermes hat that's $20,000, but I'm okay with like a ball cap that I bought at a yard sale. Like it's
Yeah.
okay to have different preferences and have different styles and, adapt things to your own ideals.
Well, and I would say that is the definition of personal success when you can adapt things to fit who you are versus taking things and trying to make them work that are inauthentic to you. And then
Exactly.
it just honestly, that produces the overwhelm of just like, why aren't these things working? Well, it's because they're not going to work in your lifestyle and they're not built to. You have to come up with things that really work for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. Do you have anything you'd like to share with our audience or any final thoughts for us today?
I just
I know
hope
it's,
for you listening that you'll take this away and do something with it. Because I think that is one of the biggest, with a lot of the women I work with, it's one of the biggest things. It's like, I feel stuck. When you feel stuck, you got to move.
yeah.
When you feel stuck, you got to move. And then because if you don't, it's like quicksand. You'll just like get sucked
Mhm.
all the way down. It's like you got to just take one little thing. There's this analogy that I use all the time. I use it for book writing, but it works for anything. And it's like if you are constantly looking at the peak of the mountain, I did a lot of mountain climbing and backpacking in my younger years. And if you're like constantly looking at the peak of the mountain, it's going to feel overwhelming because you
Mhm.
still have 400,000 steps to go. But if you're looking up there going, I can't, I'm not equipped, I don't have the correct tools, I'm not in good enough shape, I'm not dressed appropriately to climb this mountain, like whatever it is, you'll come up with the excuses, the reasons not to do it, right? But if you just go one step at a time, like one checkpoint at a time, you're going to get there faster.
Right.
Every day, just do one little thing, one little step. If you're like, I want to lose some weight, I want to get into shape, it's like you're not going to, like, even with Ozempic or whatever, like, you're not going to just magically, like, lose 100 pounds tomorrow. It's
Right.
like you got to
No.
exercise, you got to eat well, you've got to do the things, you've got to take the steps. So I think we're all looking for this like secret sauce to just have the perfect outcome immediately. And that comes from the, generation of like the TikTok generation where we're all just
Yeah.
used to speed. And, it's like click, click, spin, swipe, swipe. It's like everybody's
Overstimulation.
so overstimulated.
Yeah.
So it's like really getting clear on what you want. There's the peak of the mountain. And then just one small step a day and
Yeah.
you'll get there. And then when you do get to like the first checkpoint, when you do get somewhere, when you're starting to feel the inertia, when you're starting to feel momentum building, don't forget to look back at how far you've come. And I do this through like Facebook, whatever, like
Memories or whatever.
memories, highlights,
Yeah.
like things. Like I always look back and go, whoa, look how much I've changed. Look how much I've gained. Look how much like my life has improved. I'm so grateful. I'm so
Yeah.
happy. This is amazing. Yay
When
for
women
me.
often
And I
forget to
celebrate.
do that too,
Yes.
right? We don't look back and we don't celebrate the wins or where we've been. We just have to keep moving forward, and that's not fair.
Yeah. Not fair.
No. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and we
Awesome.
will see y'all next week.